Hello, my name is Lois and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be going through a classic book checklist to count how many classic books I've actually read. It's probably not going to be that many, but I guess we'll just see. I did try recording this video about a month ago and then I just kind of forgot about it because, you know, life happens. And I've actually got a few more, well, probably like 2 more books to add to this list. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Is it really bad if I've just done one checklist and I wasn't happy with the number I've done, so I'm going to try doing a different checklist and hope that out of these books I read more? Well, that's what I'm going to do anyway, so let's have a go on BuzzFeed. I've not been on BuzzFeed for quite a while, but why not? I used to love doing BuzzFeed quizzes back in the day. Right, let's start. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, BuzzFeed, calling all bookworms and smarty pants, how many of these 50 classics have you actually read? Let's see, right. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Yes, read that earlier this year, really enjoyed it, loved the romance, loved the, I just love like the nobility of the characters back in the day, you know, I just thought it was beautiful. The Great Gatsby. No, it's on my bookshelf along with several other books that I started reading and didn't finish. Okay, I wouldn't even say didn't finish, probably I started it and I read maybe a chapter, maybe less than that, and I just couldn't get into it. I gave up too soon because I do always find that the first couple of chapters are always difficult to get into because you've got to adapt yourself to a whole new world. And sometimes that is exciting, but it's also kind of tiring. It takes more mental effort to start imagining where you are and getting to know these characters. 1984 by George Orwell. Yes, I read that in 2020. I feel like along with when everyone else was reading 1984. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was very intense. I mean, yeah, I don't know, are there things in 1984 that I am seeing around me? Yes, but not so much as another dystopian novel, which will hopefully be on this list as well. So yes, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Yes, I read this in June. I really enjoyed it. I loved how wholesome the characters were. I found it a little bit slow to begin with because the story is quite slow. It's not like some action-packed novel with like all these twists going on, and no, it's quite chill. It's going through the life of this family over the period of about a year, I think it is. And you just see these sisters interacting with each other, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. And I just love their mother and their father in the story. They're so supportive and encouraging and loving. And it's so nice to see that in a story, because I feel like nowadays you always hear about dysfunctional relationships with parents. So this is just really nice and refreshing. And to see how the mother was like helping the children when they had their flaws. She was pointing them towards God. She was pointing them towards God in humility, in kindness, and I really loved it. The Catcher in the Rye I've not read. Am I going to read it? I'm not sure. I don't feel too interested in it, to be honest. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I read this when I was in secondary school doing my GCSEs. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it was for the right reasons. I think I just really liked doing southern accents with my friends. Like, I just loved reading it out loud, reading the dialogue in a southern accent. And now, even still, like, I love saying the names in a southern accent. Am I going to do it for this video? Maybe not. I'll just let you imagine it. But, yeah. To Kill a Mockingbird. Catch-22. I've not read it. And I also can't remember what it's about. I think I have it on my bookshelf. I think I've got a bit confused with all the books that have numbers in their names. I find them like not that memorable. I've also got Fahrenheit 451 on my bookshelf. But I can remember, oh look, that's next on the next row anyway. I've not read that either, but I can remember that's the one about burning books, but that's because my brother was talking to me about it the other day. Catch-22, literally cannot remember a single thing about what happens in that book. So yeah, not read either of those. Peter Pan. Did I read Peter Pan? I'm sure I did, but I can't actually remember reading it, so I'm not going to tick it off this list. The Little Prince, I've also not read, but I've heard great things about it, so I'm looking out to purchase a nice copy of that at some point. Next up, we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have my very nice copy of that on my bookshelf, but I've not got around to it yet. I'm trying to decide which of my women's classics to read next. Wuthering Heights is definitely up there, along with Jane Eyre. Probably one of those I will read next at some point. But yes, Moby Dick I've not read. I'm not sure if I will because it sounds very intense. Let me know if you think it's worthwhile reading Moby Dick, anyone who's read it. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Yes, I read that earlier this year. I enjoyed it. It was a chill read. It was a bit of nonsense, written beautifully. I enjoyed the illustrations. Yeah, I liked that. It was a bit of a random one, but yeah. Lord of the Flies. Yes, I read this for my GCSEs as well. I liked it. I like books that have a very memorable concept. You know, in this, there's the boys who go in a plane that crashes on an island and they kind of form their own society, and you see all the chaos that ensues from that. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting, memorable. It's good when you've read a book and you can still clearly remember the characters and like the scenery, and yeah, it's quite a vivid book, that one. The Odyssey, no, like it sounds very intellectual. It also sounds kind of boring. Let me know if you've read it, if it's good, and I will consider reading it. Next we have Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Yes, I read this. Could be coming up to 10 years ago. I don't remember that much of it, but I did go through a phase where I really was a bit obsessed with Oliver Twist. I think it's because I grew up partly watching this, is it ITV? This ITV DVD I've got. I don't have many DVDs left here, but it's one of the ones I have right there. I also went through a phase where I really enjoyed the musical Oliver, and I just remember having this copy. I don't think I have it anymore, with this dog on the front that's supposed to be Bullseye, Bill Sikes' dog. So yeah, not read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I've not read Jane Eyre. I've not read The Grapes of Wrath. I've not read Anne of Green Gables, although I've been recommended it. Things Fall Apart I've not read either. Okay, so here we have Brave New World, and that is the other dystopian book that I read. I actually finished this book just a few days ago. I really enjoyed Brave New World, or at least the second half of it anyway. I think I found the first half a little bit slow, but I just thought it was very interesting to contrast with 1984, where they're controlled by fear, whereas in this they're controlled by happiness. Oh dear, my battery on my laptop is about to die. Why is it that either my camera's overheating or my battery on my laptop's about to die? Okay, I'm going to pause this and we will continue shortly. Okay, so Brave New World, yeah. I don't want to say too much about it because I might talk about it a little bit in my summer reads video that I will hopefully get around to making very soon. So yeah, I think I was trying to compare it to today's society, and I guess I was trying to work out what ways it's similar, what ways it's different. I guess it's similar that it's very, very consumerist, and we're just completely bombarded with advertising nowadays. So I think the thing that struck me as being different was that it's very, very collectivist, and I feel like it's still quite individualistic, for better or for worse, in the West today. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I thought the characters were interesting as well. There were some of them that were very absorbed in the society and happy in it, and others that were discontent, and yeah, I liked it. I thought the ending was good too. That ending was a bit of a punch in the face as well. I was speaking to someone recently who said they liked happy endings, and I just think I like endings that shock you. I like getting to the end of the book and being like, I really have no idea how this is going to end, and then yeah. Next, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Yes, I've read this, and I've just started actually reading the last Narnia book, The Last Battle, and yeah, I've enjoyed the first couple of chapters. Then we have Dracula by Bram Stoker, one of my favourite Gothic Gothic novels. In fact, the Gothic novel I read that made me want to read other Gothic novels, because I just enjoyed it. I enjoy how, I guess because it's written in the Victorian times and there's all this, is that right? I'm sure it is right. Like there's this interesting relationship between science and technology, and we still have an interesting relationship with science and technology that is trying to be negotiated. So I enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing morality, progress, all these different themes that are interesting. And in Dracula, whilst you have this element of the supernatural and the darkness of Dracula and vampires, you also have these beautiful friendships between the main characters where they're willing to lay their lives down for their friends, and it's so beautiful. I love it. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley I've been really meaning to read, because this is obviously like one of the other most famous Gothic novels, but I started it, I tried reading a few pages and didn't get into it, so I've not tried reading it again since then, so I need to try that. The Lord of the Rings, I have read the first one, I've read The Fellowship of the Ring, and I'm excited to read the next two because it was nice. I loved it. It was, again, had this theme of friendship. I love books about friendship. It's so wholesome. And I also just loved, I was talking to my brother about this the other day, trying to work out that balance between home and comfort and community, and then like the adventure and pushing yourself out into the unknown. And it's nice how Lord of the Rings does that, because they're on the adventure, but it's not really glamorized. You see like the horrible things they have to go through whilst trying to achieve their quest, and they are looking back to home, but yeah, it's just negotiated very nicely. So Animal Farm, I read this last year I think, and it was very much what I expected it to be. I don't know if I just heard too much about it, but I didn't find it very shocking, and I think I like novels that are quite shocking, so yeah, it was okay. Great Expectations, I haven't read. I don't feel particularly inspired by Charles Dickens. Let me know if I should be reading Charles Dickens. Les Miserables, I did start reading this in my teens, where I went through a phase where I really liked musicals. I still think Les Mis is a great musical, and I will listen to it very occasionally, but the book is a brick, and I was not into reading then. And I must have got rid of it at some point, so I can't take that off. The Count of Monte Cristo I've heard is amazing. Not read it though. I've not read Emma by Jane Austen. I've not read War and Peace. I've not read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer or Anna Karenina or The Secret Garden. That's not looking so good there, is it? Okay. The Picture of Dorian Gray, yes, I read this year. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I realised that it's technically a Gothic novel when I started it, but I think I did pick up that it was. And yeah, I feel like I've read this mixture of very, very wholesome books, and then I feel like The Picture of Dorian Gray is like kind of the opposite of wholesome. Is, you know, this guy doing everything in his life just for pleasure, and in turn being very cruel and dehumanising to other people. But it's not necessarily promoting that either, so I think I enjoy the messages of books as well as the content. The content, whilst it's not nice what happens, it's showing that this is what happens to your soul when you live for pleasure, so yeah. Of Mice and Men, I read this, was it last year? Was it the year before? I'm not sure. I didn't study it in school like a lot of people did. It wasn't a book that we studied in my class, but my parents got it for me anyway. I don't know why. And I read it. I liked it. Was it shocking? I'm not sure. But yeah, I liked it. I don't think I have particularly strong feelings about it. A Separate Piece by John Knowles. I've not heard of that one. Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I read this last year. I liked it. I didn't love it. There are some books where if there's very niche vocabulary, I struggle with it, and I thought I would like it because I really enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean, but I felt like some of the boat and ship language was a bit too much for me at times, and yeah, it was okay. You kind of know who the baddie's going to be, but yeah, it is what it is. I've not read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I think we read some of A Christmas Carol in school, but I don't remember that much. I did get a really nice copy of it just after Christmas last year, so I'm going to read it this year. But I love The Muppets Christmas Carol. We watch that basically every Christmas Eve. It's one of our family traditions, and it's quite a dear story to my heart. I've not read The Swiss Family Robinson, I've not read the Iliad, I've not yet read 100 Years of Solitude, but I've heard very good things about it, so I would very much like to. I've also not read Don Quixote, I've not read The Call of the Wild. So I read The Hobbit in 2020, I think, and as far as I remember I did enjoy it, but it's one of the books that I found slightly forgettable about what happened. I don't know why, but yeah, I think I should probably reread it at some point. A Tale of Two Cities, nope. Gone with the Wind, nope. The Scarlet Letter, no. So that's the end of the quiz. Let's see how I've done. 15 out of 50 checked. That's actually not bad. You've read a pretty good amount of books here. You checked more than 49% of quiz takers. I'm happy with that. So a quiz that I did earlier, I got 13 out of 99. So I'm glad I did this one because this one definitely makes me look slightly better. But yeah, so that is the answer. I've read 15 out of these 50 classics. And yeah, I hope you read more. Let me know how many you would have got right. Go ahead and do the quiz and let me know. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!